Hey, good morning everyone. This is a solution of the Excel practice that you need first to solve on your own, and then if you have questions, watch the video. But I strongly recommend that you do not watch the video at the beginning and attempt to do it so that you are well prepared for the makeup exam. The first question asks you to write an if statement to determine the final grade for the students on the Excel sheet. It says that the passing grade is out of 70, so you need to determine whether they pass or fail the course. So remember we said in order to make a decision, we use the if statement in order to fill the content of this cell with either a pass or a fail. So we start with an equal sign and if, open the parentheses, and we are checking the test score for Muhammad. So, and he's in C6, and we are saying if C6 is greater than or equal to the passing grade, which is in C1. Now, I ask myself a question, will I be always comparing every score with C1? And the answer is yes. So I need to fix C1, and I press on the F4, and that adds the dollar signs in there. If C6 is greater than or equal to C1, and I put a comma, then that student passes. So I put pass between double quotes. Otherwise, so I have to put another comma, he fails, which means he has less than 70. So it starts with an equal sign, if, open the parentheses, click on the cell that you want to check, compare it either with greater than, less than, equal to. Here we are saying greater than or equal to C1, which is the value 70. And we have to fix C1 because I'm not going to, I will always be comparing all of these scores with 70. And then I put a comma and I put the value if true. If it is greater than or equal to 70, then insert the value pass, otherwise insert fail. And I close the parentheses and I hit enter. So the first person has an 89, so he's a pass. And I copy the formula to the rest, so I see that 56 is a fail, 32 is a fail, 44 is a fail, 43 is a fail, 59 is a fail. If you want to make sure that the if statement is working correctly, highlight all of the values that are less than 70. So highlight these values, use the conditional formatting under home. With light red text, let's say. So, and then again, do the same for the text. Highlight all of the text, go under conditional formatting, and highlight cells where text contains fail. So I have an exact match, and so the if statement is working correctly. The second if statement asks you to determine the late fee for those students who had checked out books for more than 7 days. And for every additional day, you charge them $1. So again, we need to determine if the difference between the two dates is more than 7. If it is more than 7, then we want to know how many exactly more than 7. So we subtract the difference from 7 and then multiply by the $1. And let me give you an example to make that easy for you to write the if statement. If I have borrowed a book on the 3rd and returned it on the 12th, then I'm 2 days behind. So I have to multiply 2 by the $1, and that's $2. Now, how do I do that? First, I have to subtract the check-in date, subtract the checkout date from the check-in date. Let's say it says 9. To know how much to charge, I have to subtract 7 from 9 because 7 is allowed. 7 is okay. Anything above the 7, I need to be charged the extra fee. How much extra? Depends on how many days did I keep the book. To find out, I subtract also the number of days. I subtract 7 from the number of days. Anything above the 7, if it's above the 7 by 4 days, then I get charged $4. So I start again with equal to and an if statement, and I check if the difference between the two dates is greater than 7. And I put H6 minus G6 between parentheses is greater than 7. Then I want to find out how many days more than 7. So again, you will say find the difference and this time subtract 7 from it. That will give you the number of days that are more than 7. How many days did you keep the book after 7, after a week? How many days more than the week? And multiply by the $1, the late fee. So if I keep it for 2 days more than the week, I will have to pay $2. Now H1 is fixed. I only have one late fee, so I need to fix it. And I click on F4 and that change it to H $sign H $1, and the final comma or the final value that I need to add is what if it is not greater than 7. So they've just checked it for just 7 days or less. Then I don't charge them anything, so I'm going to put an empty quote. So the first person charged it only for, or kept it for just a week, so no late fee. Let's see if we copy that to the rest. So you see now that for 10 days you're charged $3. Same thing here. And for 11 days you're charged $4, and for 2 days you're charged $2, and 1 day you're charged $1. Okay, so that's the first if statement. Again, make sure that you take a close look at how we wrote the if statement. Here is another sheet for the if statement, trying to determine how much to charge a person entering the theater, whether to charge them $7 or $6. So if they are above 65, then they are charged $6. If not, then they are charged $7. Now, how do I find out whether they are more than 65 or not? It all depends upon their birthday, for example, or actually. So one way to do that is to find the difference between today's date and their birthday. And if that is in years is more than 65, then they are charged $6. If not, then they are charged $7. So my if statement would be equal to if, and I want to find the difference between today's date, and I know that the function today will give me today's date. If today minus their birthday, and that gives me the value in days. So I need to put it in years. I have to divide it by 365. And again, another parentheses. is greater than or equal to 65, then charge them the $6. So put the price of the ticket as $6. And again, I only have one price for senior, so I need to fix that. Otherwise, charge them the $7. And again, one value for the adult. I'm going to fix it. One may ask, okay, why didn't we fix the B6? The answer is I have several birthdays. See, we only have one price for the adult, one price for the senior, but then several different birthdays in B6 to B11. Someone may ask, can I then fix the B? You can, but you don't need to, because you are just copying the formula to that column, onto one column only. So you really don't need to fix it, but if you want, that's fine. You can put a $sign B6. So the first person is less than 65 years. And then those born in 40 and 38 are charged $6. Last if statement is for parcels that are sent through the post office. Anything less than or equal to 1.5 pounds is charged $5. Anything above a 1.5 is charged $7. So now you want to determine again the charge, and again equal to if the weight is greater than the 1.5. And again, I only have one code, that's the 1.5, that's the threshold, one threshold. So I'm going to put the F4. If it is greater than the D15, then charge the $7. And again, it's only one price, so I'm going to fix it. Otherwise, charge the $5, and again, one price. So first is charged $7 because it's above 1.5. 0.7 is just $5. 1.2 is just $5. 3, 2.7, and 2 is $7. Okay, so that's the if statement. That's enough practice, I think, for the if statement. If you fully understand these, then I'm sure you'll be able to answer the question on the test. Now for the weighted average, remember we said that calculating weighted averages are required that you have certain criteria that you use in order to determine or to make a decision regarding a specific option that you are presented with. So I have here 3 students, Muhammad, Ghada, and Christopher, and I'm trying to find out who's the best. Or in the second example, I have 3 jobs, job A, job B, job C, and I'm trying to determine which one to take. So first thing is to set what are your criteria that you will use in order to differentiate or to determine which student is the best or which job is the best. And in case of students, we say, okay, I'm gonna evaluate the students based on their performance in assignments, in labs, exams, their project, and their presentation. In case of the jobs, I will look at the salary, the benefits, the learning, the location, and the environment. For the students, they have certain scores for their assignments, their labs, their exams, projects, presentation. And for the jobs, I need to put actual scores, and it says in the question, put a score from 1 to 5 for each and make sure that they differ. So if we say job C is the best paying job, then we'll give it a 5. Job B is 3, and job A is 2. For benefits, again, job C is the best. Learning, Job B is the best. It gives you a lot of opportunities to learn. So it is 5C. You don't get to do a lot of new things. So location, in terms of location, job A is actually the best. It's very close to where you live, and followed by B, and then C is really not. And then the environment, job C is the best environment, and followed by B, and then A. Okay, so now the two scenarios look similar. So I have here scores for the assignments, the labs, exams, projects, presentation, and I need to find out what's the weighted average. The weighted average is equal, and remember, it's always a score for a specific criteria multiplied by the weight for that criteria. So for assignments, it is the score for the assignment multiplied by the weight for the assignment. And I only have one weight, so I need to fix it. Plus the score for the lab multiplied by the weight for the lab, plus the score for the exams multiplied by the weight for the exams, plus the score for projects multiplied by the weight for projects, plus the score for presentations multiplied by the weight for the presentations. So the first student has a weighted average 74.8. If I copy it, then Ghada has 76.7. Now I want to find out who's the winner. And the winner would be the one who has the maximum points. So again, I have to say if that score is the maximum of all three, then put the word winner, otherwise don't put anything. So if equal if, and I click on their score is equal to max the maximum of these three, and now the range will be the same for all three students. I have to compare 1, 2, and 3, or line 10, 11, and 12. So I need to fix the 10, 11, and 12. If H10 is equal to the maximum of H10 to H12, then put winner. Otherwise, don't put anything. I close the parentheses. So Muhammad is not the winner. If I copy it, now it shows that only Ghada is the winner. Okay, now I want to calculate now the weighted averages for the jobs. Again, remember, it is the score multiplied by the weight. Now here, the scores are in column D, F, and H, but it's all in D16 to D20, G16, G20, H16, or to H20. So I need to fix the rows. And first, well, let's do the weights so that you don't get confused. The weights are in column B. B16 to B20, so I'm going to fix the B only. Okay, so I calculated the weighted average for all three jobs. Now I want to find out the totals, so I'm going to click on auto sum. And again, hit Control C to copy the formula, and then highlight under B and C and hit Control V to copy. So now I can see that job C is the best. And again, in order to find out which job is the best, in case like I have hundreds of different jobs, it would be equal to if the score, which is E21, and here, because I want to copy the formula again to F21 and I21, I want to fix the 21 only. It is in row 21. If E21 is equal to max of E21, comma, G21, comma, and I21, and I need to fix this. Only these three that I'm looking at. Then I'm going to put the text best job. Otherwise, I'm not going to put anything. And I close. So this one doesn't have anything. I'm going to copy the formula by hitting Control C and then highlight under job B and job C and hit Control V, and you can see that best job got or appeared under job C. Okay, now the second part of the questions tells you to create scenarios. So we wanted a different scenario for the assignments, labs, exams, project, and presentation. So for me, I believe that assignments and labs are not as important as exams, but let's say that Dr. Vanjani or Dr. Desai feels different about that. They want the exam to have less weight and the project to have more weight on it. So we want to create a different scenario. We'll start with, we have to first save that scenario. So I'm going to go under data and do a what if analysis, and click on scenario manager. And usually, I mean, you wouldn't see any scenarios, but since I've been working with that Excel sheet. So I'm going to add a first scenario, and it is exam centric. And it asks you, what are your changing cells? And we know that the changing cells are the weights. Another professor will weigh the different criteria differently. And hit OK. And it says, OK, currently you have 0.2, 0.2, 0.4, 0.1, 0.1. And now I want to add another one, and then that will be project focus. And again, my changing cells are the weights B2 to B6. And I'm going to place less weight on the exam and more weight on the project. And now before I can actually run a summary, I need to name the cells. So for this, I'm going to name it assignment. And remember to hit enter. Lab. You have to name these cells. I'm not saying change the content. Name the cells. Exams. Projects. And presentations. And again, I need to name the weighted averages for each of the students. So this is Muhammad. Ghada. And Christopher. Okay, now I'm ready to run the scenario for the first one. So I'm going to go under data. Again, a what if analysis, scenario manager, and I will choose summary. And it says, where are your result cells? And I need to choose these as my result cells and hit OK. So it says, okay, you have two scenarios, exam centric and project focus. The weights under the exam centric are these. Here are the weights for the project focus. If you look at the students, Ghada is the best in terms of exams as well as projects. So she is a very good student. It doesn't matter whether you look at exams or you look at projects. Definitely Muhammad is better if we focus more on the project. He's not the best, but I'm saying that his performance or his evaluation is much better when we focus on projects. Christopher, a little bit of a difference, just a 0.1 difference in there. Okay, we'll do the second scenario for the jobs. Again, I will need to rename these cells as salary, benefits, learning, location, and environment. And we need also to name the averages. Now we need to name the cells for job A, job B, job C. So we'll name that one job A. And this one job B. And last one is job C. Okay, and I'm gonna run now the scenario manager for this one. So I'm gonna go data and what if analysis scenario manager, and we'll add a new scenario. We actually need like to add a new sheet because otherwise it will take these scenarios. So I'm going to name them again because we lost the names. So I guess yeah, it keeps on associating the name with that cell. So again, it will ask you for the changing cells, and you choose the weights as your changing cells and hit OK, and you leave the original weights as is. And then add a new scenario, and this scenario we'll call it learning focus. And again, the changing cells are B2 to B6. This time you will decrease the salary to 0.3 and increase the learning to 0.4. And we cannot run the summary until we actually name the cells. I'm gonna name them something different, so I'll just like put the first 3 letters. You would think I would not do the same mistake twice. Okay. Now we're ready to run the report. Go under with if analysis scenario manager and summary, and it asks you where are your result cells, and it's the E7 along with, and I'm holding the control key and choosing G7 and I7. So now it says based on salary, benefit, learning, location, and environment. If we look like based on salary, definitely job C is the best. But if you focus on learning, well, still actually job C is your best option there. One thing we need to change is the B2, so I'm going to go so now you have everything renamed. Okay, now we move to the trend analysis, that it asks you to find the correlation between the weight and the fat and the weight and the cholesterol. So one time you will highlight weight and fat. We already had that before, so I'm going to delete it. Okay, so to get the correlation for weight and fat, highlight the weight and the fat and insert a scattered chart, and you get one right here. Gonna raise it a little bit higher. Okay. And it says in the question that you need to make sure that it is professionally looking. So one thing we realized is that there is no meaningful title, so I want to change the title. I can go under the layout and choose chart title, and I'm going to change that to correlation between weight and fat. And the second thing is to spread out the chart. I see that there is nothing below the 100 for the weight. So we need to adjust that. And I also want to remove the legend. I want to add title axis. So axis titles for the horizontal will, that's the weight. And the way I know, because the weights are in pounds, and it cannot be that maximum weight is 80. So, and then you go and add a vertical title, and you can type it right there at the top. Fat. Last thing is to adjust the axis. And to set that minimum to 100. So it is spread out. And last thing is to add a trend line. Tells you add a trend line and display the equation, display the R square, and you can see that the R square is 0.03. That means it's a very very weak correlation. There isn't a strong correlation between weight and fat. Then they ask you to find, okay, how about fat and cholesterol? So we'll highlight the fat and the cholesterol. And the way to highlight two non-adjacent cells is to hold down the control key. So now we have both highlighted, and again, insert scatter chart, first option, and again, I'm going to adjust the title. I'm going to remove the legend. I'm going to add axis titles. I know the least for the fat is 10. So I'm going to adjust the axis. And again, 50 is the minimum for then I'll add a trend line. I will add an equation and R square, and still the R square is not large enough. Remember, the 0.7 tells you that you have a strong correlation, so the points are all over the place, all over the chart. There isn't a strong correlation between the two. Okay, now they ask you to use the values for weight. In order to use the forecast function to determine cholesterol and fat using the weights that you have right here. So it's equal to forecast. And you can actually, if you know what the forecast is, the forecast function works, you can write it right away, or you can use the wizard. So it says the forecast has 3 arguments. The first is the x, and that's the given weight. And then the known y's, all of the cholesterol that you know, and these are here. So and you need to click on F4 to fix it. Remember, the range is fixed. I need to forecast for so many different weights, so but for all of them I'm looking from F3 to F81. And then the last one is your known x's, which is the known weights, and they are in C3 to C81. And if you press F4 right there, it will make sure that you fix both the C3 and the C81. And close. So if you have 120 weight, forecasted cholesterol is 196. Copy that to the rest. Now how about the fat? Again, it's equal to, this time I'm going to show you how to do it with the wizard. So click on the function, wizard at the top, and it asks you which function do you want to use, and you know it is the forecast. So here it is, and it says, okay, where is your X value? What is the value that you know? That's the weight. And where is your known Y's? My known Y's are the fat. I'm gonna hit F4 for that. Oops. Again, the X, which is the value for weight given, the known X's are your fats. And you click on F4 right there, and then your known Y's, your known X's are the weights. So if you have a weight and you're trying to forecast the fat, you start with a weight, all of your fats, and then all of your weights. So weight, fat, weight, weight, fat, weight. We press that F4 to make it fixed. Hit OK. So if you have 120 weight, your fat level will be 28.83, and you copy the formula to the rest. Okay. That's all for the trend line. Then we are left with the break-even and the linear programming. So for the break-even, it asks you to calculate the total fixed cost, the total variable cost, the total cost, the profit, and the break-even. And you start with just 1 unit, and then you copy the formulas to how about 25 units, 50 units, 75, 100, and 125. So first I'm going to total the fixed. And that's just the sum of all the salaries, the electricity and rent. So I click on auto sum. Same thing for the variable cost. My total cost is equal to my total fixed cost plus my total variable cost, and my profit is equal to my revenue minus my total cost. And don't worry that it is a negative. Don't worry that it is a negative at this point. Your break even is equal to, it's a formula, it's equal to your total fixed cost divided by the difference between your revenue and your variable cost, total variable cost. So your break even is at 81.8. You need like to make it a whole number, because you cannot like produce 81.8 of a unit. You'll produce 82. So at 82, that's when you are exactly covering your costs. You have to be manufacturing more than 82 to realize some profit. And let's see now formula. The formulas for calculating the revenue, it's equal to revenue for 1, and I only have one price. The revenue is the same like the price, so I'm going to fix it. Multiply by the units, and the units are in D2, E2, F2, G2, H2. What's common? It's the 2, so I'm going to fix the 2. And then I copy to the rest. Okay. Now my total fixed cost, remember fixed cost is not affected by the number of units. So irrespective of how many units you will produce, you will always incur the fixed cost of 4,500. So it is equal to C11. It will always be equal to C11. So C11 is fixed. So remember putting the dollar sign or hitting F4, then copying it. My variable cost changes. My total variable cost changes with the number of units. So for 1 unit, I have to pay $30, but what if I have 25? So it is equal to the variable cost for 1 multiplied by the units, and the units, as we said, are in D2, E2, F2, so I'm going to fix the 2. My total cost is always equal to my variable cost plus my fixed cost. I don't need to make changes to the cell addresses because for this column it's D17 plus D11 and then E17, E11, F17, F11. So again, it will automatically adjust, Excel will automatically adjust. Then my profit will always be equal to my revenue minus my total cost, and again D13 minus D18, E13 minus E18, F13, F18, and so on. So I don't need to put, sorry, I still have a, okay, so in between the 75 and 100 is where I have the break-even point, and it says actually it's 82. Now, the last part of that question asks you to use the goal seek in order to determine the revenue, that 85, if I want to realize a profit of 10,000. So, what if I want this cell to be 10,000? What should be the revenue? And that goes under data. What if analysis, goal seek, and you are going to set the value of H20 to 10,000. By changing the revenue, because it tells you, it asks you to do that. So in order to realize a profit of 10,000, your price should be 146. Okay. Now, if I had it as 82 as originally set, and I want to realize again a profit of 10,000, so I'm going to go scenario manager, oh, I'm sorry, goal seek, and say set the value to 10,000. But this time I don't want to change my price. I want to change the number of units. So it says by changing the number of units this time, then you should be producing 278 units and selling at 82 in order to get a profit of 10,000. Okay, the last exercise is linear programming, and the first one asks you how many students should you enroll in information systems and how many should you enroll in finance in order to maximize the profit given these constraints that you have 16 units of labor, 20 units of computers, and 40 units of time, and that the finance needs 3 units of labor, 1 unit of computer, and 2 units of time for each student. So first thing is to put the formula inside of the sheet. So to determine the profit would be equal to the price or the fee that you will charge each student multiplied by the number of students plus the fee for information systems, because some of your students will be in finance, some will be in information systems. So the price of finance multiplied by the the number of finance students. So right now, if I have just 2 students and I charge $250 for finance and $200 for information systems, my total profit is $450, and I have 2 students only. Okay, now I want to find out what will be my total resources that I will use. And again, it's equal to the resource for labor per 1 student of finance multiplied by the number of students in finance. And that cell will have the number of students, so I need to fix the B6. Plus the labor for information systems multiplied by number of students in information systems, and again fix the okay. Same thing, the total resource or total computer resources used will be units that are used for information systems multiplied by number of students, in finance, and again fix the number of students plus resources, computer resources used by information systems multiplied by the number of students. You can actually copy the formula. I just repeated it so that you would know, but once you have entered it in the beginning, you can copy it to the other 2. So what we are saying is, whatever you use of labor, if you just produce or enroll 1 student in finance and 1 student in information systems, should be less than or equal to 16. My maximum is 16 units of labor, 16 units of 20 units of computers, and 40 units of time. So these cells are calculating how many are we using. Now we are ready to use Solver. And Solver says, okay, which cell do you want to maximize? And the cell that we want to maximize is the cell that has the profit, the formula for the profit. And then it asks you, where are your what are you trying to change? And we want to change the number of finance students and the number of information students. We want to change them to where we maximize the profit. Given what? Given the set of constraints that we have. So the constraints are that whatever I use of the labor is less than or equal to my total labor resources, and what I use of the computers is less than or equal to my total computer resources, and that whatever I use of time is less than or equal to total units of time that I have. I hit OK, and so these are my constraints, and I hit solve, and it says okay, you should be enrolling 2.4 students of finance and 4.3 students in information systems, which means 2 and 4. At that point, if you have 2 and 4, you will be using all of your labor and all of your computers, but only half the time that you have. There is another example of linear programming, and here we have 2 products, and the prices of them is $400 and $275, and you have again labor, material, and machinery, and you need to make sure that whatever you use of these are less than $250, $150, and $100. So first thing, remember, is to set the formula. So formula for the profit is equal to the price of product A multiply by number of units for A plus price for B multiply by number of units for B. That will give me my total profit. The resources that I will use, I know I need 12 units for product A of labor, 5 raw material and 4 machinery. That's just for one unit. So in order to determine my total resources used for product A, it's equal to units for a particular resource multiplied by number of units for product A, and I need to fix that, plus units of labor for product B multiplied by the number of units that I will produce of product B. Once I have it for one resource, I can copy it to the rest. So what it's saying is whatever you use of labor should be less than 250, what you use of raw material should be less than 150, and what you use of machinery should be less than 100. Now you're ready to use Solver. So go ahead and click on Solver, and it says your F5 is the cell that you want to maximize by changing the number of units that you will produce of product A and product B, which are in C4 and D4, and your restrictions are that what I use of labor is less than or equal to the 50, and what I use of raw material is less than or equal to the 150, and what I use of machinery is less than or equal to the 100. And now I can run Solver, and it says, okay, you need 6 units of product A and 25 units of product B. So that's all for the practice. If you go over the whole thing and you are able to do it by yourself without watching the video, then I think you are very well prepared for the makeup. Thank you all for listening, and I'll see you next week in class.